My name is Kevin Dayaratna. I'm the director of the Center for Data Analysis at the Heritage Foundation and the chief statistician. I'm just waiting for my slides to be uploaded so I can begin my talk. Okay, so I am going to talk about energy, human flourishing, and various security implications. So energy, in and of itself, is the fundamental building block of society. From turning on a light switch to starting your car to enabling this very conference to operate, affordable and reliable energy literally underpins anything and everything we do. And unfortunately, many people around the world, especially lawmakers, take it for granted. And what many people don't realize is the vast beauty that goes behind the scenes in terms of flipping on, say, a light switch. There is complex circuitry and the beauty of physics involved that has taken decades and centuries to really ascertain and be able to make commonplace. So I'm going to present some data from a paper that I have with my colleague Diana Furchtgott-Roth, who's here, as well as Richard Stern and Miles Pollard at the Heritage Foundation. Here we have a variety of plots. We're going to really bring this data to life about this very issue. Here we have a variety of plots, the share of American households utilizing various technologies. The x-axis is the year starting in around the 1800s, and the y-axis is the percent of the population that utilizes this technology. And as you can see, over time, many things that we take for granted today, like running water, the household refrigerator, the radio, and the automobile, they have very rapidly permeated society and become very commonplace in society as a result. Now, what underpins this is energy. So here you can see energy consumption in the United States, both total as well as on a per capita basis. And you can see, for example, total energy consumption was around 10 quadrillion BTUs in the early 1900s and skyrocketed to slightly under 100 by 2018. And you can see a similar story on a per capita basis. In terms of global energy consumption, the story is also quite similar. In the aggregate, in early 1900s, in aggregate, there was about a total of around 50 quadrillion BTUs of energy consumed, and this skyrocketed to over 600 over the 20th century into the 21st century. And again, you see the similar skyrocketing on a per capita basis as well. Access to energy and utilization of energy has become more commonplace as time has gone on. So, given that, what else has coincided with this? Per capita income. As you can see here, per capita GDP. Globally, per capita GDP was around $2,500 on a per capita basis in 1900, and that increased to over $15,000 worldwide, and you could see a similar story in the United States as well in terms of growth. What has also coincided with the rise of energy? Life expectancy. Doctors are now empowered to do their jobs. Life expectancy worldwide was a mere 30 years of age in the early 1900s and has increased to over 70 years of age now. In the United States, is there a question?
Beg your pardon, sir. The first graphic you have presented are extremely important for us. Could we be able to have this presentation?
Absolutely. And I can, if you want to send me an email, my email address will be on this very last slide. I can even send you a copy of the paper.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
In fact, I'm going to talk, where are you from? Here?
I am from Argentina.
Okay. I'm going to talk about some El Salvador specific statistics, but I'm happy to talk to you separately afterwards. Yeah, absolutely. So here you could see the rise in life expectancy. Like I said, globally as well as in the United States, it has risen significantly. And the reason is simple. Doctors can be trained to do their jobs. Doctors are powered to do their jobs. And doctors are given the tools to do their jobs from, say, the pharmaceutical industry, all of which require access to affordable and reliable energy. Child mortality. This has plummeted both globally as well as in the United States. You could see that it was disturbingly almost 25% globally in 1900, and fortunately, that has dropped to below 5% worldwide. Similar story in the United States. How about agriculture? So here's the thing. Back in the day, in the 1900s, throughout the world, people would have to use their bare hands to farm. Now, with the utilization of energy, machinery can do much of this dirty work, and as a result of this, there is now more output per unit of labor. And as a result, here you can see corn and wheat yield. They have skyrocketed both domestically as well as worldwide. So now, that is just globally as well as in the United States. I think what you all are here for is you are interested in how does this play out throughout the world. So here we're going to talk about a country-by-country analysis. So these are scatter plots. Each dot is a country. Here in 2018, the x-axis is per capita energy consumption. The y-axis is per capita GDP. And here you could see the significant relationship here. On the left-hand side, you can see that countries that consume less energy on a per capita basis have much lower incomes. These, sadly, are many African countries. On the right, you can see many westernized countries that have access and are blessed with access to affordable and reliable energy, and they are significantly wealthier. I know you all are probably wondering about El Salvador. El Salvador consumes, it's right around the middle of the plot, well, to the left of 10,000, 6,600 kilowatt hours, and it has a per capita income of around $8,500. Per capita energy consumption and the population living on less than $30 a day. There is talk throughout the world of ending poverty. Now, here again, you have the x-axis is per capita energy consumption. The y-axis is the percentage of the population living on less than $30 a day. So you could see here that this plummets significantly once you hit around well over 10,000 per capita kilowatt hours. So if you want to reduce poverty, what you need is to ensure access to affordable and reliable energy. Again, agriculture. So here you can see significant heterogeneity worldwide. Countries that consume more energy can do more with less. They can consume more corn, or they can produce more corn, I should say, and produce more wheat. As a result, because machines can do much of the heavy lifting. Literally. This, to me, is one of the most interesting. Here are 4 plots. The upper left is doctors per 1,000 people. The upper right is life expectancy. The bottom left is child mortality, and the bottom right is maternal mortality. And you could see the significant relationship. And the reason is simple. Like I said earlier, access to affordable and reliable energy enables doctors to do their jobs. It enables them to firstly get trained to do their work in hospitals that can actually help people, increase people's life expectancy, extend lives, save lives in terms of child mortality and maternal mortality. Like I said, El Salvador consumes around 6,600 kilowatt hours on a per capita basis of energy. It has about 2.8 doctors per 1,000 people. Life expectancy is around 72, around the average globally. Child mortality is fortunately 1.38 percent, and maternal mortality is 46 per 100,000. Now, as you can see, if El Salvador could have more energy available for its people, these things would go down even further or go up even further depending on the metric. Now, this to me is the most interesting. There isn't anybody that doesn't want clean air, that doesn't want clean water, and doesn't want a healthy environment. Well, if that's the goal, access to affordable and reliable energy is the way to get there. As you can see, deaths due to dirty air, which is the first plot, and deaths due to dirty water plummet in countries that have more energy. And the reason is simple. You can sanitize water with energy, and you need energy to do so. You can actually have stoves at homes that don't emit such dirty air that can cause respiratory issues and so forth. So you could see, in terms of air pollution mortality, the first plot, El Salvador is around 6.5%, and in terms of deaths due to dirty water, El Salvador is around 3.6 per 100,000. So what does this tell us? There is no doubt that countries that consume more energy on a per capita basis do better on a variety of metrics. So we asked this question at home, and I'm going to talk about how it applies to El Salvador. From the American perspective, the question is, how can we do even better? So the Institute for Energy Research every several years issues its North American energy inventory, which quantifies estimates of how much oil, gas, and coal are available in North America. And I know that there are some people from Mexico here. So you could see in the United States, we have over 1.6 trillion barrels of oil and over 4 quadrillion cubic feet of natural gas that are recoverable. And you could see numbers for Canada and Mexico as well here. 30.6 billion barrels of oil for Mexico and 577 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. So the question that we were interested in at the Heritage Foundation is, okay, since President Trump took over, he issued an Unleashing American Energy Executive Order. What would happen if we could actually utilize these resources? What would be the economic impact? So at the Heritage Foundation Center for Data Analysis, we have the Heritage Energy Model, which is the same model that our Department of Energy uses to forecast, say, changes in electricity prices and so forth. We use it for understanding economic impacts. So what we did was we took a scenario, their current business as usual case, which is the current forecast that they were on, versus a scenario where there's 50% more oil and gas available. And you can see here there are significant economic gains. Over, on average, 5 million increased 5 million jobs annually in terms of increased employment. And the reason is simple. The cost of hiring goes down, and as a result, it is easier to hire. There is even employment associated with the extraction of oil and gas itself, but that also reverberates locally in terms of hotels, motels, laundromats, and so forth. But again, with more energy in the market, energy becomes less expensive, and it becomes more affordable for organizations and companies to hire. Income, as a result, goes up. We found that over a 25-year time horizon, overall, there would be $300,000 of increased income for a family of 4. So now, critics would say that, okay, that's fine if you want to extract more oil and gas, but the problem is that what you will have is exacerbated climate change. So this is a concern that is worth looking at. Because, again, the concern is that oil and gas, these are hydrocarbons, they emit CO2. So we actually published a book at the Heritage Foundation, Cooling the Climate Hysteria. And if any of you are interested, send me an email, I will get you a free copy of the book, where we looked at the realism of climate change, and we found out that many of these claims, the climate hysteria, is heavily politicized. The climate change is occurring, but the bottom line is it's not occurring at rapidly a rate, and these policies constrict access to affordable and reliable energy. So at the Heritage Foundation Center for Data Analysis, we also have the Model for the Assessment of Greenhouse Gas-Induced Climate Change, MAGIC with 2 C's. And what we did was we assumed commonly accepted projections from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change on greenhouse gas emissions well into the 21st century. And we varied climate sensitivity. So most would agree that the planet warms with respect to CO2 emissions. The question is the extent. So climate sensitivity quantifies how the Earth would respond to a doubling of CO2 emissions in the long run. It's a theoretical construct, but it enables you to quantify how sensitive the planet is to emissions. And we increased emissions starting in 2020, according to the simulation that I had just presented. So these are the results. We have several pairs of curves under these various sensitivities. The gray curve is the current path that we are on. The x-axis is the year starting in 2020. The y-axis is the temperature increase from 2020. And what you can see is, so the gray curve is the path we are currently on. The blue curve is the path under the simulation of allowing for more oil and gas drilling. So you could see the blue curve slightly goes above the gray curve for any sensitivity, including the worst case scenario of 5 degrees Celsius, but not by much. Even under worst case scenarios about climate sensitivity, temperatures would increase, but by only 0.03 degrees Celsius. So it's not going to meaningfully impact the climate. So here's a great question. What is the energy mix in El Salvador? So I looked at this question using data from the International Energy Agency, and you can see here natural gas really dominates the market along with hydropower and geothermal energy. And the question is, are there opportunities to add to the mix? Well, President Trump, like I said, with his Unleashing American Energy executive order, he is interested in exporting oil and gas abroad as well as other forms of energy. And it is also useful here to think about looking at what resources you have here and how you can engage in this extraction, because it will only grow the El Salvador economy. So altogether, putting together the pieces, affordable and reliable energy are inextricably linked to human flourishing. Countries need affordable and reliable energy. It is an absolute imperative. And a country needs to be, this is the security tie-in, a country needs to be energy independent of rogue nations to secure its own people. You don't want to get into the business of being dependent on, say, a country that is, has a history of hostility, because then when conflict erupts, there could be major problems and consequences to the people. So El Salvador should seek to be energy independent or only working with countries that are not rogue nations. So what we suggest is, at the Heritage Foundation, avoid carbon-based regulation. It only constricts access to affordable and reliable energy. Utilize the resources you have here to extract energy, say contracting with other countries that are friendly nations to do so. There are opportunities, like I said, with the Trump administration. And again, avoid dependence on rogue nations. So thank you. Happy to take any questions. And my email is right here if you would like to reach out.